TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right, new music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
Hi, this is Mike with Rogue Media Network. As Texas opens back up, some of our shows have chosen to continue to record from remote locations. Some of our other shows have started recording in studio with very few people observing social distancing. Thanks for listening, and please be safe. This is Central Texas Living with Ann Harder.
Texas is slowly opening up, and what's that going to mean for the creative forces in Waco? It's a joy to have Fiona Bond join us, the director of Creative Waco. And how are things going for you personally?
Thank you, Anne. Well, it's really lovely to be doing something, albeit socially distanced, but in person. It feels like rather a long time since we've been able to do that. And things have, it's been uneven, I would say, for the arts sector. The organizations and the individuals that we serve, the people who create in our community, so that is artists, performers, musicians, people who write. For some of them, this has been a really welcome intermission. And it's been an opportunity for them to dive deeply into their creative process without interruption or without too much interruption, depending, what their normal configuration was. If they have a steady source of income and this was an opportunity to kind of unclutter, then, some people have really thrived. But I would say for the vast majority, the fact that we can't have exhibitions, performances, concerts has been devastating for our sector overall. Obviously that really impinges on the revenue streams and most artists and performers are pretty hand to mouth in terms of their business model. Whether it's a gallery, whether it's a gigging musician, they depend on the gigs, on the exhibitions. People congregating together is what the arts is all about, connecting people physically. And so when you can't do that, not only does that turn off the revenue stream, but it kills part of who they are. People who work in this field, well, they certainly don't do it to get rich quick. It is not.
It's a passion.
They do it because they love it, and it's because what they feel in their whole core that they are called to do. Whether they're faith-based or not, there's part of every successful artist I know, there's part of them that if they wanted to turn this switch off, they couldn't. They are compelled to create, and they're compelled to communicate and connect. And that has been, a lot of them are grieving the loss of that.
Oh, there's no question about that. And yet there's been a lot of creativity, shall we say, in the way technology is being used to try to, sort of fill that gap in. It can never replace, a live performance. But there have been virtual tip jar performances, with some musicians I know of. What is Creative Waco doing to kind of help support this process?
Well, we realized very quickly that, for a lot of people, it was going to be really important to be able to generate some revenue. We didn't know at that point what might be available, from federal or local government sources, or what other alternatives there might be. So very quickly, we turned to people that we've worked with before. Jeffrey Cannon, who created the zoo sculpture online presence. And he's a wonderful web designer. And, we consulted with a number of local businesses, artists, performers. We talked to Keep Waco Loud, who've been fantastic partners in this. And we realized that we could create an online marketplace for creatives to plant and present whatever it is they do. So when you think of an online marketplace, you might typically think of something like Etsy, where you have products and you go on and you see the thing. If you like it, you then buy it, and a few days later it arrives in your mailbox or on your doorstep. We wanted to create something where the parameters of what was available was much broader. So, if you are a musician, a dancer, if you run a salon, anything that involves your creative intellectual capacity, then this marketplace is for you. And so we have all kinds of things. We have music lessons on there.
Really?
We have one of my dear friends, and she has not put this on there yet, but she is about to, is making beauty products. She normally runs a salon, and she's been dying to experiment for the longest time with starting her own brand of skincare products. And so she's putting those on. We have ceramic artists. We have commissions. You can commission a cartoon of the people that you are quarantined with.
What a wonderful memento
yes,
of all this.
Because, let's face it, there are some comedy moments there, no matter who they are. So, all these wonderful, creative, really, some of them very off the wall, but then also some of them much more traditional. So literally everything from a painting that someone has done right the way through to, let's get an art lesson for the kids.
That's amazing. Especially for those folks that are homeschooling and they're looking for ways to enrich, that process.
Or just at the
children.
end of their limit of their own energy for thinking up new ideas.
Mm-hmm. I cannot imagine. My heart goes out to those parents.
I know we're very grateful for teachers right now.
I know. It's funny. This thing has really made us appreciate who's kind of really important in this society.
Totally.
Our medical people and our teachers, for sure.
Well, and how interesting that, in crisis, we do turn to the arts.
Yes.
I think, we've seen that some of that's entertainment, absolutely. But also I think we turn to the arts for meaning. We need to give meaning to this time. We need to dig down into what are valuable uses of time? How do we use this time? How do we memorialize it in a way that is going to be meaningful to future generations? We know we are making history, but also we know that the way that we are loving our neighbors right now is by doing nothing, kind of, which is a really difficult challenge for people who are used to doing a lot. And so the arts, I think, has a really unique role in terms of helping us interpret.
And this has all happened so fast. I mean, 2.5, 3 months ago, we wouldn't have even dreamed, honestly, that we'd be going through something like this.
I know we were about to run a chalk art festival.
I know. And I was going to ask you about that. I
on.
saw on social media, I saw on Facebook that you got to do a little bit of that chalk art with a young man. Yes, tell me about that. He was born without femurs, which is the bone of the upper leg.
Yes,
right?
Ricardo Benitez. He's a student at Baylor. Really remarkable young man. He's on the Baylor football team. He was born without the femur bone. So his, the lower part of his leg essentially connects to his hip. So his legs are short, but also he doesn't have a knee joint.
Right.
And yet he still runs. He had planned to do the Silo District Marathon. And he'd been training for it and prepping for it and had a great, great group of friends and supporters and teammates who wanted to support him in doing this. And honestly, it was so inspiring to meet him.
And he actually ran it.
He ran the entire marathon. We created chalk art to cheer him on. And,
which was part of, you were going to do that anyway.
Yes.
We were going to have a huge chalk art festival. We were going to talk about it on this podcast.
I know, yes. And so we were going to cover the whole of Austin Avenue in chalk art. And that was going to be part of the Silo District Marathon. It was going to be a wonderful way of bringing people to downtown Waco who were coming especially for the Silo District Marathon. So instead, we got to do these lovely 2 little pieces for Ricardo to honor his run. The really nice thing is that it looks like we can actually pivot that Chalk Art Festival to next year for the Silo District Marathon for next year. And so we're still planning all the things we were going to do before, but this has allowed us to actually think more deeply about how we make the most of an opportunity like that.
I was inspired not only by Ricardo and what he did, but you all in supporting him and figuring out ways to social distance, do what you needed to do to be
Yes,
safe,
totally, yeah.
but still celebrate a remarkable achievement.
It involved a lot of cowbells, actually. Social distance with cowbells.
That's right, more cowbell, as they say. Well, so how can folks support you in what you're doing? How do we get to the marketplace and that kind of thing?
We like to say shop local and do good.
Sure, yeah.
So by going on to makeitinwaco.com, people can see this fabulous smorgasbord of products, experiences and services. And, just browsing what's on there is so fun. There's literally something for every price point that you might be willing to pay. So there are things right from 99 cents. Actually, there are a couple of things for free. You can
Cool.
download some cool stuff for free. But right the way through to there are paintings on there for about $2,500. So really, there is something for every level. We have now over 70 vendors on there. In all different art forms and also in kind of health and beauty sector as well. And from all parts of our community, I've discovered a load of new artists that I didn't know about through doing this.
Oh, that's wonderful. Giving them the opportunity to.
Yes, absolutely. It allows them to experiment with new products or new ideas, which is great. And then we're also encouraging people to share that, spread the good news, make sure that they're encouraging their friends to purchase on the site. But we're also about to launch a fundraising campaign because part of what's raised through that site, 15% of each of the transactions, and then we're kind of fundraising in addition to that for a fund that is supporting artists, arts-based businesses, and really those who have been most impacted through this time. There are a lot of government programs that can help you out so far, but for some of our newer organizations, they weren't eligible for those, and for some of our nonprofit organizations. And this is the time that they really need to be thinking about, what do I need to do for the medium to long term so that A, I can survive as a business or as an artist, B, I can pivot into a much more sustainable, robust, protected business model that is going to be able to flex if something like this happens again. Because we may have other, resurgences of this virus, or maybe something like this will happen in the future. You never know what's around the corner. And then also just to make sure that we are in the best possible position as a community to be ahead of the curve when visiting, when tourism is able to start again. However, I think Waco is in the best possible position to be one of the first places that people want to visit. We're able to socially distance here. We have lots of open air spaces that people can enjoy themselves without feeling like they're in a crowded room. We have lots of even open air live music experiences, that kind of thing. And so what we want to do is make our arts and cultural sector one of the most distinguishing features about Waco, so that we are the first place that people think of coming when they think of traveling again.
Well, that's what you've done through Creative Waco. You've been such a driving force in that. What kind of led you to this work?
The thing that I describe about artists not being able to flip that off switch, that's me too. My canvas is cities and communities. I've done this kind of work really since I graduated, and have had the privilege of working in a number of different fabulous organizations and communities. In the UK, you can probably tell that I'm not originally from Texas. I know that's really hard to hear. Right? It's hard to decipher.
What part of England are you from?
Originally, I grew up in the southeast, but actually we moved here from Scotland. Oh, okay. And so most recently, before we moved to Waco, I was working in the city of Dundee in Scotland. And the way I tell this story, Dundee, someone in Dundee is going to get really cross at me for saying this, but Dundee was truly the cultural armpit of Scotland at one point. It was really not a place that was known for its cultural excellence. And within a period, I had the privilege of working there at a time where we were reimagining Dundee through really smart, joined up cultural investment that was part of an economic development initiative. And so cultural investment was part and parcel of how do we keep talent here? It was hemorrhaging talent. How do we make this a place that people want to live, work, and play? And so over a 10-year period, it became the flagship cultural city for Scotland, and it was designated a UNESCO City of Design. It now has, like 5 world-class museums and galleries and theatres, and is just a showcase for how the arts can really transform a community from being banal, not a place that people think they want to live, work, or play, into the place that everyone, all the graduates from the universities suddenly wanted to stay, start their businesses there because it was cool and it felt like a happening place.
So forward thinking, really.
Absolutely.
To put that investment into the arts.
Placemaking, these days people get to choose where they start their businesses. We're so joined up with, and we're finding this out particularly at the moment during COVID-19. We can do a lot of things virtually. Mm-hmm. And so really we can choose where we place ourselves and where we raise our families, and cultivating the kind of environment that feels vibrant and welcoming and has the kinds of values that people want to immerse themselves in is absolutely what we're all about.
Oh, I'm energized just hearing you talk about it, and your love for the arts and love for artists of all kinds. But our time is coming to an end, and I like to end these interviews with some questions similar to the ones like James Lipton would pose to his guests on Inside the Actors Studio. So here's my version. What's your favorite word?
Oh, sculpture. The word sculpture. I just think that captures so much. It's so evocative, and it's such a beautifully kind of enunciated, punctuated word.
What's your least favorite word then?
Gnocchi.
It's kind of fun to say, but
it is. I lived in Italy for a while.
I was going to say, I know what gnocchi is.
And gnocchi was truly the thing that cast fear into my heart when people told me it was on the menu, because inevitably it would be handmade by someone and you'd have to eat like piles and piles. It literally made me sick.
What turns you, you've kind of alluded to this already, what turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
I think the glimpse we get into people's souls from connecting with them on a level that is not usually part of our everyday dialogue. It seems to me that everybody carries a depth that we don't get the privilege of seeing. And I had the privilege of working for the University of Cambridge, running a project called Theology Through the Arts, and I've written a book called The Arts in Your Church. And so the place that I come from, I guess, philosophically and spiritually in this, is that we are all made in the image of a creator God, and creativity is part of the reflection of that character that we have. And yet we don't exercise that in a lot of everyday life. And I feel that the arts are the playground for allowing ourselves to reflect that created nature.
Amen. Preach on, sister. What sound do you love the most?
Oh, the sound of the sea, the ocean. I've always lived, apart from here, I've always lived close to the ocean.
The sound you hate?
The sound of machinery building things. During this COVID-19 period, we have, there's a work site at the end of our street, and I've been going out in the morning, just, outside to sit and start my work outside. And as soon as they start up that machinery,
jackhammer,
it makes me go inside. It's such especially in a very kind of otherwise quiet place, it's an invasion on the senses.
What other profession would you like to try?
Oh, that's a great question. Circus performer. I'd love to be really bendy and be able to dangle upside down for a living.
Okay, what job do you know you would not like to do?
Well, probably that same one. But I really don't think I could be a politician. No. I see my friends who are in politics, and they have to play a game the whole time. And I think that would destroy me.
And they're constantly raising money, too.
Yes, that too.
All right. Final question. What do you want to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Oh, that is a great question, too. Welcome.
Beautiful. You are beautiful. Thank you, Fiona, so much for visiting with us. And again, how can folks learn more about the website and the marketplace, the creative marketplace?
Thank you so much. Yes, it's makeitinwaco.com and, of course, creativewaco.org. You can kind of pivot between the two of those. Most of the things that people would want to access have a place somewhere on creativewaco.org. But makeitinwaco.com, which of course is a community effort, and we have lots of community partners in that is its own standalone website. So super easy to get onto. There is a click through there to all our community partners. And also, if you are interested in becoming a vendor, there is a menu item there that you can follow through. It's super easy to sign up, does not cost a thing to be on it. And just, a wonderful way to experiment, whether you're a vendor or a purchaser.
Support the arts any way you can.
Make it in Waco and help others to make it in Waco.
Absolutely. Thanks, Fiona.
Thank you so much.
What's the one thing people always say they wish they still had after a disaster or fire? Photographs. Revision Photo Restoration is dedicated to helping preserve and restore your memories. Take advantage of this extra time you have at home to go through those old boxes of photos. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the process, follow them on Pinterest for organizational tips and tricks for old photos. They have on-site fire and weatherproof storage facilities to ensure the safety of your images, so you don't have to ship off all your memories to a larger company. Revision can handle everything from slides and negatives to film and prints. Revision Photo Restoration is local to Waco and located at 2001 Franklin Avenue. Call 254-297-9754 for an appointment or instructions on how to send in files digitally. Revision Photo Restoration. Check them out on Instagram at Revision Photo.
Every performer knows the show must go on, even when there's a shutdown. Joining me now, my favorite radio gal, Beth Richards, midday host at the Eagle 106.7, kind of on furlough.
Little bit.
And owner and founder of the Brazos Theater.
Well, hi. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy that we're getting to do this. 7 years ago, you gathered some like-minded performers together and founded the Brazos Theater, and you do murder mysteries and improv, stage plays, radio plays, all kinds of fun stuff that you just don't get everywhere.
And that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to make sure that we were kind of forging our own stream, doing something a little bit different.
Well, we were just, before we started taping, we were laughing about the Cemetery Club, which is my one. Well, no, I've done some other things with you, but to actually do a play, I hadn't done a play in a very long time. And so I had a little cameo role, which was great.
You were fantastic. You were fantastic.
And what's so fun about plays is that, it's live theater. And so somebody may forget a line.
Oh, well.
And if that line gets forgotten, then it can change the whole plot structure. And the next thing you know, you're ad-libbing all over the place.
Or the next thing you know, you're stuck on stage with nowhere to go, right? And
that's what happened to me, yes. I was waiting for a line so I could exit. And I had to exit before another character could come on. And I'm thinking, what do I do? How do I? Finally, I said, I think I'll go in the kitchen and get a drink of water or something. I thought, I got to get off this couch and in the backstage. It was
great.
So, but it's kind of like any kind of stressful type thing. It's like your life is flashing before your eyes.
There is no adrenaline like the adrenaline that happens when something goes wrong in a live show. There's just, I don't know that there's anything, I don't know if skydiving could compare to forgetting lines when you're in front of an audience on a stage.
Well, what was incredible is there were only 5 characters, and I had like 2 pages of dialogue. I mean, I was like hardly in it at all. And you guys had so much to learn, and but you did it, with great professionalism, and it was just loads of fun. Cemetery
was
Club.
fun.
That was a highlight of my theatrical career. But so let's talk about the here and now. I mean,
Sure.
You've got a wonderful venue. Often you're voted the best, the Waco locals love us, and such a fun place, fun venue. And you can open up for shows now.
I can. The rules on event facilities and entertainment facilities are a little fuzzy, but because I am a sole proprietor, that just kind of opens me wide up. However, I don't feel real good about it yet. I kind of want to see how things go during this phase one. Mm-hmm. And when you're in a live theater, you've got performers that are performing really close to each other. We can space out our audience. We wouldn't be able to fit very many people in, which I wonder if it would even be worth it to do that. As far as keeping the theater financially responsible. But the actors, I really worry about the actors, because whenever you're doing shows, you are very close to each other, and you never know. And for me, I'm not ready. Mm-hmm. So we're going to continue to offer a lot of really fun things online.
Well, and you have done some great things. You, in fact, premiered a play by a local playwright, Michael McBride.
Yes, we did.
You did, and this all could have been done in an email. The name of it,
great.
And you used Zoom, right?
Yes, we did. The premise was a Zoom meeting of a group of salespeople from a jewelry department, using the time in quarantine to hone up on their sales skills and all of the different interesting interactions between these characters, and it was hysterical, and it went over so well, and it was so well received. And Mike McBride, I tell you, this guy is a talent. He is a great writer. He's so funny. He's part of our improv team too at the theater and does acting with us as well. But spoiler, he's written another one.
Oh, really?
Yes, he has. So that's going to be our next project to work on over the next couple of weeks. In addition to continuing our improv shows, Star Wars improv, regular improv shows, and then this new play that Mike McBride has written, which is hysterical and very, very unique.
So how does this work? I mean, it's an invitation. You send money, and then you're given the coordinates for getting in on the.
I love that, the coordinates.
The coordinates.
That's great. I'm going to start using that word. You'll get the coordinates. It all happens on Facebook. So once you pay for your ticket, and a lot of shows, we kind of have a pay what you can scheme.
Yeah.
Most people do tend to pay the regular ticket price, but a lot of people have been furloughed. A lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people can't run their businesses. I know how hard it is right now for a lot of people. So we don't want to exclude anyone from being able to see shows. So we try to make it pretty affordable, and then give people a choice on how they want to contribute to the theater. And then once that happens, they do get the link to the private Facebook page, which is where we call it our viewing page, which is where we stream the live show.
Yeah, and you can mirror it on your television screen, and
really absolutely
have a pretty good, ringside front row seat.
We've watched quite a lot of shows that people are doing, and we just hook it right up through our. If you've got a smart TV, that's the smartest way to do it, for sure.
Right. What does it mean to you, though, to be able to support a local playwright like Mike?
Oh, my gosh. It's unreal. And the fact he's got other projects that we're kind of supporting as the theater with Mike and another playwright that he's been working with. And so it's just to see that just pour out of him. Just like, hey, I wrote this the other afternoon, 38 pages of script dialogue, and it's very clever and it's super funny. And I'm thinking, this guy is part of what I'm doing. And it's really a great feeling.
Yeah, it's got to be gratifying.
It is
for you
very
to be
much.
Able to. Of course, let's talk about another Mike. Mike Hamilton here at Rogue Media.
Oh my gosh.
He has been such a great help to you with these performances.
Well, and I tell him, and he blows it off. It's like, if it were not for Mike Hamilton and Rogue Media Network, then we would not be doing what we're doing now. I mean, we might have finally figured it out at some point, but it could very well have been too late for us. But the fact that we were able to immediately, before the huge shutdown even happened, when we were still able to go wherever we wanted to go, but there had to be 10 or fewer people in a room, we were still able to immediately jump on and make something happen. And it was because of Mike Hamilton.
Well, there's been a lot of innovation that's happened.
Yes.
It's had to have happened.
And just like fast, super fast.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
Well, let's you say there are some projects in the offing, a really funny play by Mike. Looking down the road, when things get back to normal, please let things get back to normal, where we can have a studio audience, a theater audience there again. And you had great dinner theaters and all that kind of fun stuff. Right. What kind of plans do you have for down the road?
Well, we had a variety show planned, a big variety show.
That's right. I was going to do that one.
I know. So big plans to do the variety show, but kind of amp it up a little bit and make it a little bit more than what it was even going to be. We've got some great things coming up for fall. We had another person that's in my theater troupe, BJ Williams. He wrote our melodrama. So rehearsals were supposed to start for the melodrama on April 9th. And so, of course, we've had to push that back. So coming up in the spring, we're really going to work hard on getting that melodrama on the stage. It's super clever. It's super fun. And
you're talking a year from now.
Next spring, we'll be doing that. And then I've got some other really, really big projects in the back of my head that I'm trying to work out how we can make these happen. Of course, not going to spill the beans too much, but some big stuff that I really want to make 2021 kind of the year for the Brazos Theater.
Well, let's talk a little bit about you. Where'd you come from?
Well, I was born in Kansas City, Missouri, but I don't really remember too much because we moved away when I was 4. We moved to Central Texas. I ended up living in Killeen, Harker Heights until I was about 12. We moved to Temple and then I went to junior high and high school and college, University of Mary Hardin Baylor, Temple Junior College. It was then before that, and studied vocal performance and theater when I was there, and just have loved the theater. I've been doing theater since I was about, 14 or so. In high school, my freshman year of high school, I decided I was going to audition for the high school musical, and it was Sound of Music. Oh, and I thought, well, surely I can get a part in this. I mean, golly, there's a ton of nuns. I did not get cast in this show. No, I didn't. Oh. And I said, well, forget that. I'm just going to stick with choir and band, and that's going to be it. To heck with theater. Bah humbug. And then the next year, they announced the next high school musical, and I said, okay, I'll give it a try. And I got a really fun part. So it was great. I was hooked. That's all it took. And I've been super hyper involved in theater ever since. And I love it. There's nothing like being on stage and performing in front of a group of people. And I've discovered, even before starting my own theater company, that I love directing just as much. And it's so much fun to be the person who gets to amass a great, talented group of people and watch the magic happen and have a part in that. And it's an amazing feeling. It really is.
It's such a creative work, too, blocking a scene and making sure that, everybody is off stage when they need to be off stage. Exactly. Some of those kind of things. This has been lots of fun. And I always like to end these interviews with a set of questions. Yeah, it's a questionnaire similar to the one the late, great James Lipton would use on Inside the Actors Studio. Okay. Do you remember that
I do.
Yes. Okay, well, here are mine. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word, because I love to cook. My husband and I love to cook and love to create in the kitchen. I think my favorite word is mise en place.
My goodness.
Because that means, and you can use that in really anywhere in life, where you get everything together that you need before you begin a project. So you put everything in place. I love that word.
Yeah, you have to have a good sous chef to get that.
Exactly.
Have all the little bowls,
Right.
In fact, it's time for a shameless plug of your husband's spice business.
Yes. We have a spice business called the Old Dutch Spice House, and people can go on our Facebook page and get the link to order online. I had somebody just the other day order 10 containers of fish spice because they love our fish spice so much. I can't say as I blame them. So right in the Waco area, we'll deliver it right to your front doorstep.
It's delicious.
Yeah, and it's
I've got your
fabulous.
smoked salt.
Oh, thanks.
Really
Yeah.
good. Really
And we
good.
make them all ourselves. All of the recipes are developed by us. We test them out. We create them ourselves. We package them ourselves, label them ourselves. My husband designed all the labels for the spices. So, yeah.
Cool. What is your least favorite word?
Oh, gosh. Golly. God, that could be quite a few. Failure, of course, because that's always your biggest fear. Failure and disrespect.
Yeah. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Oh, wow. These are good ones, Anne. Let's see. Creatively, definitely being able to bring people together and see the joy on their faces when they perform or when they watch a great performance. Spiritually, just the connectivity that I've seen lately with churches kind of overcoming the challenges of not being able to get together and seeing how many churches are really taking that next step into online services and reaching out to people online and making that available to people. That's just been it's been a great thing to see. And our church has been no exception. They've done an amazing job at embracing this whole new way of being for right now. I love that. Shout out to St. Albans Episcopal Church.
Yeah.
And what was the last part?
Oh, emotionally, just what?
Just being at home with the one I love.
Yeah.
My husband's awesome. He's fantastic.
He is. He's a great photographer too.
Yes, he is.
So, what turns you off creatively?
Creatively, when it comes to the theatrical sense, people who aren't open to suggestion and to looking at things in a different way. Sometimes you get stuck in thinking this is the way it needs to be done. This is the way it needs to be performed. This is the way I've always done it. I don't like it that way. And then just not being open to trying new ways.
What sound do you love the most?
Oh, wow. Music. I mean, just in general, music. Especially things that are melodic, that can speak to your soul. I love Broadway music. I love opera. I love classical music, but I love 80s pop. And, I like old country music, and I like hard rock. I mean, bring on the AC/DC. I love that. So, yeah, just music.
What sound do you hate?
Oh gosh, people chewing gum, smacking gum. That's the worst. That's the worst.
I've talked to other people who have a phobia about that. I mean, just really. I had a hairdresser once. She had a sign on the mirror saying, "Take the gum out of your mouth."
Oh yeah, I would. Stand it. I would.
Oh, we long for our hairdressers.
Yes, we do.
What other profession would you like to try?
That's a good question. Probably a chef or a bartender. Definitely a chef or a bartender.
Okay, there you go. What job do you know you would not like at all?
Teacher. I just couldn't do it. I don't have the patience, I think. I don't.
Yeah, it makes us appreciate them so much
yes,
more. Yeah,
very much.
It? So finally, what do you want to hear God say to you as you arrive at the pearly gates?
Welcome. That's it. I mean, that's all you need to hear, really, when you arrive. Welcome, to know that you are loved by God and that, you did the best you could. And when you failed, you realized that you failed and you tried to do better. So just welcome.
So how can folks see the next offering for the Brazos Theater?
The best way is our Facebook page and our website. So all social media, we're just at Brazos Theater. So whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, we're not as active on Twitter. We probably should be better about that. But all social media, we're at Brazos Theater. And then just simply brazostheater.com. And just remember, it's theater the fancy way with the R-E.
Good. Well, it is a great theater, and it's so much fun to get to chat with you today, Beth.
Thank you.
Central Texas Living is part of the Rogue Media Network family. Be sure to check out their other shows at roguemedianetwork.com. Please rate us 5 stars on iTunes and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Join us again soon for more Central Texas Living, the podcast.
This has been a Rogue Media Network podcast.